The arena lights blazed across the crystalline dome, casting shadows over 40,000 spectators from 100 different worlds. They had come to the Keshari Prime Entertainment Complex for blood sport, for spectacle, for the thrill of watching creatures fight in ways their own civilized species had abandoned millennia ago. Tonight's main attraction, Katniss, a human female from the legendary Deathworld called Earth. In the preparation chamber beneath the arena, Katniss wrapped her hands methodically, each movement precise and economical. She had fought in 12 arenas across the Outer Rim in the past year, ever since her colony ship had been seized by Vrexian pirates, and she'd been sold to pay their docking fees. 12 arenas, 12 victories, and still not enough credits to buy her freedom. "They're betting heavily against you tonight," said Neo, the only other human in the complex. He leaned against the doorframe, his dark coat still bearing scorch marks from the engine room where he worked. He'd been stranded here longer than Katniss, 3 years as an indentured mechanic working off a debt that somehow never seemed to shrink. "They always do," Katniss replied, not looking up from her hands. "It's different this time. Your opponent is Threx Kor, the current galactic champion. He's killed 47 opponents across 8 systems." Neo paused. "He's also 3 meters tall and has exoskeletal armor that can deflect plasma rounds." Katniss finally looked up, her gray eyes cold. "So?" Neo almost smiled. "Almost. So nothing. I just thought you should know I put my entire savings on you. Don't make me regret it." The crowd's roar shook dust from the ceiling as Katniss stepped into the arena. The floor was bare metal, intentionally heated to uncomfortable levels, another way to handicap opponents from cooler worlds. For Katniss, who had grown up in the scorching summers of Earth's equatorial regions, it was merely warm. Threx Kor entered from the opposite gate, and the crowd's enthusiasm doubled. He was indeed massive, his chitinous plates gleaming under the lights, each of his forearms ending in razor-sharp claws. He had fought and killed representatives from dozens of species. He had never faced a human. That was his first mistake. The arena master's voice boomed across the dome in a dozen languages. "No weapons, no mercy. Fight until one cannot continue." The bell rang. Threx Kor charged immediately, using his superior size and speed to overwhelm opponents before they could think. It had worked 47 times before. He closed the distance in seconds, all 4 arms swinging in a pattern designed to leave no room for escape. Katniss didn't try to escape. She stepped inside his reach. The crowd gasped collectively. On most civilized worlds, combat had evolved into ranged affairs. Weapons and distance, strategy and calculation. The idea of willingly moving closer to danger was alien to them. But humans had evolved on Earth, where every other species seemed designed to kill them, where they had become persistent predators who ran their prey to exhaustion, where they learned that sometimes the only way through danger was straight ahead. Threx Kor's confusion lasted only a heartbeat, but a heartbeat was all Katniss needed. She struck the joint where his lower left arm connected to his torso. Not hard enough to break through his armor, but hard enough to send a shockwave through the nerve cluster beneath. The arm went limp. The champion roared and swung with his 3 remaining arms. Katniss ducked, rolled, came up behind him, and kicked the back of his knee joint with the full force of gravity-dense earth muscle behind it. Threx Kor stumbled. In the preparation chamber, every fighter scheduled for later matches had gathered around the viewing screens. They watched in silence as the small human moved like water around the champion, striking points they didn't know existed, exploiting weaknesses in biology that galactic combat trainers had never considered. "She's not fighting," whispered a Keshari observer, its translator struggling with the concept. "She's hunting." Neo stood in the maintenance corridor watching through the grated floor above him. He had seen Katniss fight before, but never like this. Never against someone this dangerous. His hands gripped the railing until his knuckles went white. In the arena, Threx Kor was learning what dozens of Earth's extinct megafauna had learned before him. Humans didn't need to be bigger, stronger, or faster. They needed to be smarter, more adaptable, and absolutely relentless. Katniss broke his second arm, then his third. She avoided his desperate strikes with the efficiency of someone who had calculated every possible angle of attack. When he tried to use his mass to crush her, she used his momentum against him, sending him crashing into the arena wall. The crowd had gone silent. This wasn't the spectacle they had paid for. This was something else entirely, something primal and terrifying. They were watching a creature from a Deathworld do what Deathworld creatures did best: survive. Threxcor lay on his back, 3 arms useless, his breathing labored. Katniss stood over him unmarked except for sweat. She could have killed him. The rules would have allowed it. 47 of his opponents hadn't been given the choice. She stepped back. "I'm done," she called out to the arena master. "Pay me my purse." The silence stretched for 5 full seconds before the crowd erupted. Not in cheers, they didn't know how to process what they had witnessed. But in something else, recognition perhaps, or memory. 20 years ago, Earth had been contacted by the Galactic Council. 20 years ago, humanity had been classified as a Deathworld species and politely advised to remain in their own system. 20 years ago, the Council had made that decision because they understood instinctively that humans were dangerous. They had forgotten. 40,000 spectators had come to see a Deathworlder girl fight for their entertainment. Instead, they remembered why their ancestors had feared Earth. Neo met Katniss at the exit gate, a credit chip in his hand. The arena master paid triple, something about incentive to return. Also, 12 talent scouts want to meet you. And the Vrexian pirates just forgave your debt. Katniss took the chip, checked the balance, and allowed herself the smallest smile. "Good, book us passage home." "Both of us." Neo blinked. "Both?" "I don't leave my people behind," Katniss said simply. "It's a human thing. You'll understand when we get back to Earth." As they walked through the corridors toward freedom behind them, the galaxy's greatest fighters watched the replay footage and began to truly understand what it meant to come from a world that had tried to kill you every single day and failed. They had wanted entertainment. They got education. They had wanted a show. They got a reminder. They had wanted to see a Deathworlder girl fight. They saw a species remember why they feared Earth.